Well, hi, welcome to this episode, Prophecy the Last Hour, Liz McGee. I want to tell anyone listening, I uploaded a video with this graphic, with this title, a couple days ago, and I took it down because I didn't feel that it was really the best I could do. Because what I'm doing is, even though this is a profane holiday, even though this is the Gregorian calendar to the new year now, to the pure, all things are pure. I mean, it is a good time, always new beginnings, to take stock of things. Every day you should, wake up and take stock of things, forget yesterday, move on to the new day. So I just want to say I'm doing this again, and I hope I can be a little more linear for everyone. So anyways, what I want to say is, this is sort of, I'm looking at the decade ahead, and I'm not prophesying. I'm just looking at the trends as I see it, my wisdom and understanding put together. And these are definitely some things that I think are coming down the pipe. I will say that by the Ruach. And again, the rain falls on the just and the unjust. So what's coming down the pike is going to have, implications for the righteous. It's going to have implications for the wicked. So my word is kind of like that. It's, it's always like, woe to the wicked, but tell the righteous it will be well with them. So these are the things that I see the Ruach is going to press into to bring us to the place that of the full redemption. Because I have to say this, I'm kind of gearing my mind up for people who the date setters. I think we are going to go around this mountain again, another cycle, another 7 years. I can see the end of this decade possibly now. Okay, so you just have to kind of, I will say time is probably the most heavily encrypted. That's why Yeshua said, no man knows the day or the hour. We know the season, absolutely, we're in the season, but the level of encryption, the sod level understanding of time, that dimension, is really very encrypted. So anyways, what I want to say is to the wicked, listen, what's coming out today, I call this the decade of disclosure, the disclosure decade, because listen, and I don't know how soon it's going to happen, but oh my gosh, it could start happening so soon. The concept that we are not alone is going to come out. It is going to, for the masses, all right? Now, the elitists have known this. Those who have been tracking and gaining wisdom and understanding, we're understanding this, that we are not alone. And this story is huge and encompasses many players that we do interface with and we have in our history. So getting up to speed, but basically even getting up to speed, the storyline doesn't change. It is woe to the wicked. There are 3 categories of, well, there's actually 4. Now, Torah will tell us when it's really understood, there are 4 levels, 4 kind of groups, entities, dimensional beings that here we do interface with. They are called fallen angels. Now this whole, and the giants, the Nephilim, this whole category of hybridization of species cross unclean mixtures, forbidden mixtures, has been going on. And this is what a lot of the text, a lot of people are ferreting out. So that's a fact. So, the fact that your mind is ready for that, when, the veil is taken off, when portals are open, when these entities really do start coming back into with whatever their storyline's going to be, okay, so you also have demons. We really need to update, so to speak, our concept of demons. They're about as real today as they were then. Negative spiritual energies. We have to understand how things work, how angels, our energies, our intelligences, we have to really update our understanding here. Otherwise, wicked men, hey, there is a serpent seed, there is a line of Cain, there has been a lot of infiltration into the DNA of mankind. This is a fact, and there are bloodline houses, there are wicked bloodlines, there are wicked men on the earth, okay? And these people, these are the problem people to the largest extent, and some of them over the ages, they have been very hidden, but everything is coming into the light. Now, this line of Cain, these wicked, the fallen angels, morphing into the Nephilim, morphing into a whole system through Enoch, the son of Cain, through that whole line of hidden magic, hidden understandings, okay? There is a hiddenness of knowledge on both sides. I've said that. That's what esoteric means. It means hidden. It means occulted. It means they're, for the mature, okay? You don't want to start telling children all this stuff, all right? They need, don't need to believe in the boogeyman right away, okay? Because they want to have a safe place in which to develop. But let's see, we're having a little bit of a technical issue. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. All right, so anyways, they've taught us the art of warfare. Okay, this is when you read Enoch, it's very apparent in a lot of the biblical texts, and it takes a lot of the world texts and puts them into context. Warfare, the art of beauty and seduction. And I'm doing this also because I'm leading up to my next tree of life, Sephirothic understanding, which is Yesod, which really has to do with a lot of what happened in the garden and the art of beauty and seduction in a sexual, carnal, way. These are all things that have been taught to us to keep us in a very fallen state. And, you know, then there's the secrets of witchcraft. This is known now. People are understanding. The dark black arts, which again, people, I hope if you're listening, which that is not what Jewish Kabbalah is. People need to understand they're not the same animal. They're not the same thing. The dark Luciferian occultists stole the Kabbalah that was coming through Europe in the mid-centuries, and they relabeled it and attached it to their dark arts. It's been and not a lot of people have known that, and it's taking a lot to separate the two, but that's what I'm going to get to. That is one of the main highest callings of the Ruach for this decade. But also the powers of nature and the secrets of science. And I'm talking about the things that the fallen angels have taught man, continue to teach mankind. These relationships are true. They have been going on maybe under the radar, but this is the decade of disclosure. Okay, so if you're not ready for this, and if you don't know how a good biblical grounding to know who the players are, how to judge fruit, you know, what's going on, the storyline, it's going to be a time of great chaos, great confusion, and all the fruit, along with much more magic arts being practiced. I mean, look at all the movies. Everything is screaming this at us, if you are an addict or a partaker of modern culture. But the powers of nature and the secrets of science, let me just say, you know, watch Ranger technology. There is technology. There is understandings of how to use the forces of nature, which is the powers, the secrets, the laws of nature on higher levels, okay, than has been known, you know, the common man, or in the whole history of the human race. It's always, you know, knowledge lost, knowledge found, knowledge lost, knowledge found. There's nothing new under the sun. So the storyline doesn't change. Woe to the wicked if you're found practicing. Bloodshed if you're found practicing. If you have a Lilith spirit, how do I explain this? If you practice sexual immorality, if you are practicing dark arts, if you are, you know, using the spiritual system, which is my new word for, I'll explain that in a second, and science, against Yahweh Elohim and his righteous remnant, then, you know, yes, it's going to be very woe, and you will pay dearly with your soul for that allegiance. So this has been new. There's nothing new in any of this, but just, I think, to understand the magnitude of it is new to a lot. Most Jews today and most Christians do not really know and understand the truth of what I have all just said, but it's going to come in your face pretty soon. So whatever, that's the decade of disclosure of the dark side. And part of it is because they're going to get totally rooted out. This is the whole part of the wheat and the tares and the end of the age. And, you know, whatever you want to call this, the thing is that it's only been in Kabbalah, in this deep level of the keys of the kingdom, the encrypted understanding, that this truth has been kept encoded for the elect of the last days. So if you really want to have, let me put it this way, when oh, you know, I got in a lot of trouble one time for this. I shouldn't. Maybe I'll get in trouble again. I don't know. But I said this once in a church and I got in a lot of trouble. But this is the best. When the prophetic shit hits the fan, people, I'm telling you, in this level of ratcheting up at the end of the age, that's what I'm saying. You need to be very firmly grounded. So those things being said, to the righteous, all right, So this is going to be a decade of disclosure. All right, we're going to understand the wicked. It's squaring off the sons of darkness versus the sons of light in a true squaring off. But this idea of the this battle, the sons of light and the sons of darkness, as it refers to the righteous, one of the greatest revelations, and it's just, this one is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because this is the reunification of all Israel, is in understanding the two houses, and the two houses being able to now look at each other, dialogue with each other, enter into relationship with each other, and sort of, put Humpty Dumpty back together again. This is, all right, now I'm going to talk to the righteous in the sense. There are rules of engagement. Yahweh said that there is a very famous verse in Isaiah that I use a lot. And basically, in a nutshell, it's saying that Ephraim, at the end of the age now, will no longer be envy or jealous of the wealth and riches of Judah. And conversely, Judah will no longer bind up, tie up, vex, or put a heavy yoke or bondage on Ephraim. Now, in the totality of understanding, and I'm talking to a very mature audience, I'm talking to people who I'm assuming have a lot of this understanding already, and as Yahweh puts the two houses together, as Joseph's and his brothers begin to recognize each other, all right? One of the things that we have to understand is, and I do get the jealousy, we have to check some of our attitudes, and jealousy, again, is not a holy attitude. So a lot of times Ephraimites, and I get this way, we get jealous of Judah. We've done two things. We have either totally replaced them in the scriptures, replacement theology, or we're extremely hostile and jealousy and in rivalry with them, so that we will either minimalize or eradicate. I mean, there's just been so much warfare. Yeshua said it will be war brother against brother, because we don't understand who we are with each other. But my point is that Judah will begin to understand what has been going on for the last 2,000 years spiritually, how Yahweh opened the door for the lost sheep, how we have come in, and yes, we are clothed in the garments of Esau. I'm sorry about that, but Yahweh is in the process of cleaning everything up and making everything apparent. Now, I know I just said something, but just bear with me. As this happens, and Judah will understand and will not need to put us under a rabbinic Judaism. At the same time, a rabbinic Judaism has saved the day, and there will be a reward for the righteous of that camp who have preserved Torah and Torah ways for us to this day. And if we don't we're going to put it back together. Now, one of the things that just really is this attitude of racha, all right? Yeshua said, look, if you hate your brother, all right, if you speak racha to your brother, and a lot of people are like, what does that mean? But it can be known, it's an Aramaic phrase, but at its root, because see what Yeshua was always doing, he was always trying to get at the root, the negative root attitude, energy that was behind something. So what is behind racha is hatred, which is actually unrighteous anger. What that means is, if you're going to be a teacher, let's say, or enter into the dialogue of the restoration of all Israel, if you're going to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, and not exhibit anti-Semitism that will shut down any dialogue or any restoration that the Ruach wants to do. Okay, I'm trying to say this. If we continue to minimize and name call each other, the root of racha, when it's used by Yeshua, say, look, if you when you say racha to your brother, it's the ultimate insult. It's saying you're calling them stupid, empty-headed. So for a Jew to call another educated Jew racha, that's like the ultimate insult. All right, because you're saying that, you're stupid, you're inferior, you don't know what you're talking about, you have nothing to offer. It's a completely disdain and disrespectful attitude. Okay, so both sides are very guilty, to the point of killing each other over some of these things of not. And that has to stop. That has to be rooted out. That's number one. Unrighteous anger has to be rooted out in the dialogue. That's my opinion. So now the next one, a big thing is people need to understand, and I'm talking now about on Ephraim's side, let's just say. Ephraim, this whole concept of, that we would no longer be jealous. There is the blessings to the firstborn. Whenever the firstborn, and you know that the firstborns are birthrights are equally divided between Judah and Ephraim, whenever either one of them gets into the Torah range and they get blessed from Elohim, it's very hard. Like that's what's going on in the Mideast. Yahweh has so blessed that little nation of Judah, which is really of Israel. In 70 years, they are a world power with an agriculture, an economy, and a technology, and an education, and that just marvels the world. Now, that's a fact. A lot of people don't want to think about it. They want to deny it. They want to marginalize it. They want to raka on their, but it's a fact, right? It's a fact, and that was pure wasteland to large 70 years ago. Okay, so it is hard not to be jealous for the nations, but I can't help that. Yahweh promised blessings. And the same thing with America when we were founded and our incredible prosperity. I know it wasn't done perfectly by perfect order. But the point is, Yahweh said he was going to bless the seed of Ephraim, and he did bless the seed of Ephraim. Okay, people, when you understand how these things are playing out in terms of how Yahweh is performing his word, he's performing his prophecies, but we might not really see it. So one of the things is on Judah, we need to acknowledge the role of Judah in preserving Torah texts for us, which is their birthright. And more in this area of Raka, we need to get some understanding and stop calling Jewish sages and those who kept the Talmud and the Mishnah and wrote these and this just horribly anti-Semitic things are basically all the synagogue is saying. They're just such ignorance. The point being, they've proven now scholarly that like Jerome and Ambrose, early church fathers, 6th and 7th century, there's in the Zohar, so like the second and third book of Enoch, so much of a lot of the extra biblical on both sides, these are Jewish texts. These are texts of Jewish mysticism. Well, Ambrose and Jerome, they literally, Ambrose and Jerome literally plagiarized the works of Philo, who was a first century Alexandrian Jewish theologian, philosopher, probably a believer in Yeshua at the time, one of the most astute minds of that century, along with Josephus. They just word for word plagiarize his work and never tell people that that's what they've done. That's incredible. The stealing of intellectual property, okay? Karma. Because this has even happened, I said this, even in the Christian camp, so maybe the fact that China is stealing so much of our intellectual property is, karma back on us because we've stolen so much of the intellectual property. So this is something we need to understand as a concept, but I don't want to get too far into all this. What I'm saying is, like even first and second Enoch is almost, and third Enoch is almost taken totally from Zoharic literature. So why are you getting mad at me if you're reading the Enoch text and thinking I'm a Kabbalah teacher and I'm teaching something different? What's going to come out in the wash? Kabbalah text, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Enoch books, this is all the same tradition. This is all the same worldview. This is all the same Ruach HaKodesh understanding. So, it's like you're trying to help out. You're kicking against the pricks. Why are you bothering to do that? All right. So these are things that are going to come out in this decade. All right. Because more and more people are going to, get bold, get brave, get into this and get wisdom and understanding, which is the principal thing. So the other thing on Jewish sides, they need to understand, okay, this whole concept, and I won't even go into it, but, well, the Mashiach, of course, I'm saving that to last, right? But the reunification, this whole, oh my gosh, when I talk about, because what's important to understand why it's so important to do this whole process is because the outcome of the restoration of all in Israel at the end of the age is going to have a totally different outcome. All right. We're not going back to Egypt. We're not going to, we're going to get totally delivered out of Egypt, out of Babylon, out of this world. The whole ending is a much better ending. So we do want to press into it. But on this whole other side where I was talking about how we have plagiarized so much from the house of Judah, as we go back, we need to understand, and again, the role, another thing that is has been coming out, and these are consciousnesses, I'm telling you, that are going to hit mainstream. We're out of the fringes, okay, on either side, the more elitist, those who are more initiated, those who have gone past the pards level of understanding into the remez. They're past the remez. We're going to find out that the halakha was absolutely correct, and that the sod level is where we're going to find everything that we need, all the keys we need to put it back together. So this is why it's going to play. But the replacement theology of, you know, great theologians like Lightfoot, I mean, some of the anti-Semitic rhetoric, it's amazing. But like I said, the events that are coming down the pike are going to force people, is what I, you know, force people into choosing you this day, you know, who you're going to follow, who you're going to serve. Because the days of complacency are going to be so over in this. Now, let me go back to a couple things. Let me just see if I got a bunch of this, what I wanted to say. Zionism, another thing, you know, Christian, evangelical Christian, from my mind, well, there's still certain pockets that are denouncing Zionism and denouncing the restoration of the nation visibly in the land, using Judah first, which is completely prophetic, preparing the way for Messiah ben David. If you're still part of the hatred camp, the Raka camp, I just think you need to repent, because obviously when people don't repent, it's not a good outcome. That's what the scriptures say. So now on the flip side too, one thing, the Essenes. Now, I want to stress this again, because I do believe that this is what's going to be the aha moments. It's going to be dawning more and more on people. We're going to get a larger perspective. The Zohar, the oral Torah, these understandings are, okay, how do I even say this? Going to become very much more evident as people begin to understand and realize what is going on. All right, let me back up, because I didn't explain that well. There's a great prayer, one of the oldest, most powerful prayers. It's called the Anabakoa prayer. All right, and it's based on the 42 names of Elohim. Now, I'm beginning to understand what is going on in the 72 names of God or the 42 names of God. Like, what are they doing? But that's for next year. That's for way a little bit more in the future to try to explain that. But I do want to say what's going to come apparent is how the Essenes, how the early church, the Nazarenes, how this group, these writings, which is, like I said, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Zohar, and a lot of the esoteric texts that are coming out today are really in the same stream, the same family. And bottom line, as the Christian and the Jew elevate our understanding of Mashiach, right? Yod He Vav He. This is going to really be very powerful, obviously. But one of the things that we both say over and over in our prayers is, and if I can do this in Hebrew, Baruch Shem, Kavod Malchut Leolam Va'ed. All right, blessed be the name of his noble kingdom forever and ever. All right, see, this is the thing. It is the same king and kingdom that we're both awaiting for, and that we are both operating in. Now, this is what I want to say. What's going to come out is a deeper understanding of Yod He Vav. These things really are going to get understood, and so I'm not going to explain it. Really, I guess what I'm doing, I'm not going to explain all that. But what I want people to say, Baruch Shem, blessed be the name. Now, whether just call him Hashem, we call him, you know, and this is what I mean. One of his names is Jesus or is Yeshua. All right. Yod He Vav He is an extremely elevated. He is the most high God. All right. That's what I say. But he has a kingdom. So it's the king and the kingdom, and they are within. And this is what we lost, which we're going to recover, is the spiritual system. Because everyone's using the spiritual system, whether they know it or not. Some very knowledgeably, like will take on the side of the dark arts people, or the, you know, even the white magic people, some of the Wiccan, and some of this stuff, using the spiritual system, which is my new words for the kingdom, which is the heavens. All right, we have to learn the language, and they're really just talking about our inner neshama and ruach, our soul lives. Okay, the invisible parts of us. All right, this is that part of us is operating, actually all three, the nephesh, the ruach, and the neshama inside of us. All right, because we are a microcosm of the great. This is what Paul's saying. We're members in particular of the great, the body of Christ, of the anointed one. All right. So Baruch Hashem, blessed be the name. We're going to come together and say this with tremendous understanding. Okay. And we're not going to, you know, the understanding of Mashiach. I mean, it's prophesied that the righteous Jew is going to come into understanding of Messiah ben David. It's going to happen. And as we get up to speed and be able to articulate and dialogue on very deep and go over some of the blind spots, okay, I will take on, and I would love to take on any Orthodox rabbinic person, Messianic, or other, and take on Psalm 80. I mean, that is, to me, that is the most beautiful psalm. And it says right there how the shepherd of Israel, the stone of Israel, the shepherd of Israel, Yod He Vav He, one of his highest names truly is, has said, is the shepherd of Israel who leads Joseph like a flock. Those code words are right there. And that it is the Son of Man. When you understand the tree of life and how they come, it is the Son of Man who comes from the east, from the beginning, who is Tiferet, who is elevated and is his right hand. I mean, his Son of Man, which is Tiferet. So, I mean, it's right there when all of this is understood. So, now my last point in the spiritual system, because I'm getting pretty convinced, I don't know how to, the end of the age, what's really happening is when he rolls back the curtain, the veil that's over the lowest level between Yesod and Malkut, and we see the kingdom, we see the heavens that is operating right over us all the time, 24/7, okay? And that there's a king who sits on it, the Most High God. There's tons of players. There's tons of different levels. I'm going to go through all the angelic orders again and try to get people to understand what we're dealing with. This system is going to reveal itself over our head, and there's going to be no more veil. And this is why kind of retribution will be immediately. While it will either crush people or we will see ourselves totally elevated in it because we will know. So, you know, I will have to say it's very difficult sometimes to kind of go back and forth between what's physical and then what is spiritual, what is going into the deeper other universes and explaining. So, but it can be done. Our prophets did it. But the last thing that I want to just quickly go over in this decade of disclosure, that again, that is going to come out more and more and become more and more apparent, is the need for good mitos. You know, it says without holiness, no one will see the Lord. You're not going to be able to enter into the spiritual system for all eternity, which is our promise that heaven and earth will be united and we will be one unless you have good mitos, okay? Good mitos is good character traits. Good character traits is basically the development, getting of your body, soul, and spirit to be a temple, a vessel, pure in the physical, clean in your emotional, in your ruach yetzirah, in the world. I had this right. Clean, holy. No, it's not holy. What's in the middle? Clean, pure, sanctified. So you're going to be you're going to be pure in your body, you're going to be sanctified in your soul, and you're going to be holy in your neshama. All right, that's the goal. And each one of them, that's the body, the soul, and the spirit. And you have to have good mitos in those characters. Now, let me say this again. We're not talking about perfection. All right, nobody can be perfect. He says that. I mean, okay, perfection or maturity, what it means is you need to become mature. The Ephraimite believer needs to to up his game, to get more mature and deeper in his understanding of what the 1613 mitzvahs are, what they are commanded to keep, because we are, but nobody's in the land right now. There's a ton of things we can't do. That's a whole teaching in of itself, but you need to be educated and aware, but you need good character. And Paul, this is what Paul was trying to say, that if you have good character, you will fulfill the law. This is what Yeshua said, because and you will enter into Ruach HaKodesh, which is what Yeshua, Messiah ben Joseph, made possible. Okay, and I know this is a lot, and I hope I haven't lost a lot of people, but good mitos is what Paul was saying, that if you have, good character traits, in other words, and this one, you flee sexual immorality. Basically, it's the 10 Commandments, it's the Noahide laws, it's this concept of keeping from your heart the highest standard of ethical living. All right, this will qualify you with faith. This is how the system works. We enter into it by faith. We acknowledge, we humble ourselves. We acknowledge that Yahweh's Torah, his way, is the only way. We live under it. We receive blessings, prosperity. We receive these things. That's how the system works. If we break these thoughts, we're going to receive bad karma. We're going to get the negative energy, the negative, what do you ever want to call them? Angels, demons, just negative energies. These intelligences are going to play out havoc and play in our lives. And that's what we're seeing at the end of the age. People are really going to receive the fruit. There's so much bad fruit out there. But what I want to say is, good mitos are good character traits. They are the foundation, and they are the root opening from this world of physicality, because without holiness, okay, so what I'm trying to attack is this anti-Torah attitude, okay, because the standard has been kept in the Torah. You can't go, I'm certainly not going to go to Sharia law to find my righteous standards. I mean, there's some good things, but I mean, pick your religious system. All right. With understanding, I have no problem with what Yahweh is asking us. Things like keeping the Sabbath, eating clean, some of these very basic things, keeping your marriage bed undefiled, keeping, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. I mean, and these are things that are so marginalized in our culture now. Okay. So as the decade goes on and on, the just are going to get brighter and brighter, because they're going to understand the need, and they're going to practice and develop good mitos. Okay. So, I mean, it's not even rocket science. So I wanted to just say a lot of that. I hope that it will help guide you a little bit to understand that these things are going to happen. How soon? Oh, who knows? That the spiritual system is going to be revealed above our head. There will be no place left to hide. And you will receive the reward of your righteousness or unrighteousness. It's really not rocket science. So on that note, I do want to say shalom and peace, and I will see you next week.